the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Fort Clinton City Council meeting of April 28, 2026 in the Linda Hartlab Chambers of Fort Clinton City Council. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silent reflection for those protecting us right now.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Clerk, please call the roll.
Beth Gilman.
Present.
Richard Morgan.
Excused.
Carmen Dack. Here. Avery Robinson.
Here.
Kathy King.
Here.
Pat Hovis.
Here.
Jerry Trolley.
Excused.
Madam President,
Yes,
I move we enter into executive session to consider compensation of a public employee or official.
Yeah,
I move to enter.
We need to move it sooner in the program.
All right, Madam President, I withdraw my motion. I move that we move executive session up on the agenda after roll call.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Beth Gilman.
Yes.
Carmen Dack.
Yes.
Kathy King.
No.
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Avery Robinson. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion carried by a vote of 4-1. Does council wish to take any further action?
Madam President,
Ms.
now I move we enter into executive session to consider compensation of a public employee or official.
Okay. It is 6:02. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mrs. Hovis, seconded by by Mrs. Gilman, seconded by Mrs. Hovis to move into executive session at 6:02. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Kathy King.
Yes.
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Carmen Dack.
Yes.
Avery Robinson.
Yes.
Beth Gilman.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries by a vote of 5-0. We will now enter into executive session.
Everyone just needs to leave this room at this time until
We are back on.
Madam President, I move we enter into regular session.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Mrs. Gilman, seconded by Mrs. King to return to regular session. It is 6:38. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Pat Hovis.
Yes.
Kathy King.
Yes.
Beth Gilman.
Yes.
Carmen Dack.
Yes.
Avery Robinson.
Yes.
Thank you. Council, you previously, we are back on record. You previously, I guess I should say, motion carried by a vote of 5-0. We are back on record. Council, you previously received the April 14, 2026 regular meeting minutes and the April 21st, 2026 special meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Solis. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Robinson. I have a motion by Mrs. Hovis, second by Mr. Robinson to approve the April 14, 2026 regular meeting minutes and the April 21st, 2026 special meeting minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries and the minutes are hereby approved. The chair notes that certification has been made regarding compliance with the notifications and rules of this meeting. We have no guest presentation. We'll move on to public comments.
Vicki Ward, 738 Taft Street.
Hi. I've lived at 738 Taft Street for 48 years. And I don't know if any of you have gone down my street, but it's a mess. I did have Doug out April 4th, I believe. April 8th. He came out and looked at it and explained to me that if everything goes well, my road will get fixed next summer. Not this summer. Next summer. And that's not acceptable to me. It is falling apart. There's a big hole. We can't park 2 cars in front of my house because you would step out into a puddle of water. They come by, they fill it with stone. The next day, it's gone. And it's not acceptable. He said it's because of the railroad holdup. I understand the railroad on Jefferson Street, Madison Street, Washington. Why is the railroad holding up Taft Street, Clinton Street, Lay Drive, Alice Street? I don't understand.
Mayor, do you want to explain the process of what we're going through, please? Thank
For
you.
the past 26 months, we've been talking with the railroad about going underneath Jefferson Street, water and sewer lines. All of the sewer for that south part of the town that's going to be funnels through that area. We had a accepted plan going right down the center of Jefferson below the railroad tracks. And then the person we were talking with at the railroad switched, and the new guy said, nope, can't do it. On February 4th or 8th, I don't have the number, but we submitted a second plan with the understanding it would be 4 to 6 weeks before we got a response. We're still waiting for that response. We actually reached out to the railroad this morning, asking for, RailPro is the group we're working with, asking for an update. We gave them all the information needed. The reason Lay, Taft, Clinton, so forth are impacted is because
We're not getting a sewer.
sewer, but other parts are. It's all a connected process. And the engineering drawings and diagrams.
Okay, well, and that's fine, okay. Something has to be done on our street. Otherwise, right now there's a hole that reaches almost clear across the street. He says you can't fill it with certain patch. Cold patch only goes so deep. This time of year you can only fill it with this patch. Something has to get done. And I told him, it's very disheartening that we pay taxes there 48 years. You know, you come along with the infrastructure money, we pay that, and we can't get our street fixed. They did fix south end of Taft Street, mind you. When we had the other mayor, he made sure his part of the street got done. And they never did our end. And I called City Hall at the time and they said, oh, we're just doing the south end, which is the newer end of Taft Street. Our street, in front of our house, has never had anything done to it in 48 years, nothing. And it's very disheartening to live here, to pay taxes, our kids live here, and we have to put up with that. If you don't want to drive by, I have pictures, but you can drive by and see it yourself.
Ma'am, there's no argument that the street is in horrible condition. We're working the best we can to make it happen. There's never been a comprehensive plan to address the streets in the city of Fort Clinton.
Why do we have to be on the railroad plan? I guess I don't understand why.
Because it's the only way to get the sewage and the
We aren't
water
getting sewage.
from one side to the other.
We
It's to
aren't
go
getting
underneath.
sewage.
But again, in order to get everything from one side to the other, you have to go underneath the railroad tracks. And unfortunately, they're the holdup. The county's dealing with the same thing right now with 3 Mile Crossing and their water project.
So we're to live with this hole in our road for another year, with
Again,
nothing being done.
We're closer to the end than the beginning.
Another year.
You say nothing has been done for 48 years. It will be soon. That's the best I can give you right now.
Oh,
Does it make sense to you to put a road down and then dig it up to put in a water sewer line? No, that doesn't make sense.
well, it doesn't make sense to put down a water line and fix the road and no sewer line either.
Again, the sewer line was graded higher than the water.
It's a mess. It's a mess. And
If we could replace everything in town, the estimate 9 years ago was $150 million. What we're doing right now is 27.
it's not going to get any cheaper,
You're right, but would you rather pay $12
and our road's not
or
getting
$20?
any better.
I will grant you that. But that money has to come from somewhere.
Doug and I stood out there, and you could go like this and kick up pieces of road.
You're not getting any argument. That's why we're doing this infrastructure project,
And
because
two of us
nothing.
drive down that road daily.
Yeah.
Kathy lives at the end of Taft, I live at the end of Taft. I do problem reports, not all the time. The woman who lives there and the water runs into the street constantly, that does not help that issue any,
And
at all.
I understand that, but the city let them do that.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
The city let them
I
run
know-
that line down there.
I know I periodically do problem reports, and I know the patching does nothing. I mean, I see it. I have a big, what I think is a sinkhole right in front of my house. We're afraid to park there.
And there's another one on Alice.
Right, and
just around
again,
the corner.
2 of us drive that daily, and we
It's-
have the same frustrations, believe me, we have the same frustrations, we question all the time, the railroad issue, you know, why it can't get done any faster. I haven't heard next summer, I'm kind of in this holding pattern when, you know, that gives me
Doug told me
really
next summer.
something.
He said, look for next summer, not this summer.
That
next
makes me
summer.
happy, because that's more than I've heard, and, you know.
Well, that
just-
doesn't make me happy.
I'm glad that it is frustrating, but they're doing something, because I've been here when nothing's been done, and I just am glad they're doing
They aren't
something.
doing anything on Cass Street. They're not doing anything to fill that hole.
They might not be right now, I don't know. I mean, other than patching it and patching it and patching it, I mean, I don't even know. I saw it patched the other day, and then I did see it gone again when the trash trucks went by, so, I mean, it's an ongoing issue. And again, nobody's disagreeing, we see it, we drive it, we're living it too.
But it's very disheartening.
It
I'm-
is
I'm
very
here to tell you,
disheartening.
It's not right, and something should have been done with it.
I think we all agree, and again, it's been decades and decades and decades.
But we all don't live there.
Can I ask
I
a
live
question?
there.
What would you suggest be done?
Something's gotta be filled in there. If you're not gonna fix
What
it,
is the something?
if I was in charge and I knew the answer, I wouldn't be here. I'm not the one with the answers. I'm the one with the questions. Why can't they dig that up and fix that spot then?
So that makes sense to you to spend money to dig up a spot that's gonna be then dug up a year and a half from now? I just wanna see if we're on the same wavelength, because
It's
I
been-
don't think that's the right
I'm
way
not
to spend.
talking the whole road.
I understand that, but no matter what part of the road is done, it's gonna be gone in a year and a half. Does that make fiscal sense to you? It doesn't to me. I just wanna see where we're standing here.
They've gotta fill the hole with something. They've got to do something with that hole. I don't care if it's patch, they keep patching it, they come by once a week and patch it.
Okay.
You cannot park 2 cars there. And our neighbor has 5 cars, maybe 8 cars, that park on Taft Street. We had a squad come to the house that's got the water running out. Pouring down rain, the squad pulled up out front, they go up, they get the guy, they bring him out on the gurney. They could not get him in the gurney because of that hole in the street. They had to back the gurney up more before they could get him into there. Pouring down rain. You know, Doug says, why didn't they pull in the driveway? Once again, I'm not the one to ask that. I'm telling you what happened. And it's wrong. We shouldn't have to live that way.
Thank you.
Michael, or no, is it Michelle or?
Yeah, it's Michelle.
Thank you.
Sorry, it was all
Apologize.
scribbly.
Okay, Michelle Bodie, 371 East Bayview Drive.
Yep. I'm Michelle. Thank you for letting me talk. I just want to read a letter that was sent to everybody on council today so that it's on record. And it's in regards to ordinance number 1726. We are writing to express our concerns regarding this ordinance, which will receive its first reading at tonight's city council meeting. The ordinance declares a state of emergency to increase the salary range and expand residency eligibility for the safety service director to include candidates living anywhere in Ottawa County or adjoining counties. The stated justification is that the current salary and residency requirements are preventing qualified candidates from applying. However, passage of this ordinance could result in appointing a candidate who lives more than an hour from Port Clinton, lacks familiarity with the city and its government operations, and requires additional taxpayer funds to incentivize acceptance of the role. When you have people living here that would accept the role for the current salary. Before expanding the search beyond individuals with meaningful ties to Port Clinton, we urge council to examine what efforts were made to attract qualified local candidates. The position was quietly posted on March 2nd with only a single post to the city's Facebook page. This raises serious concerns about whether there was a genuine effort to recruit within the community or merely a procedural step to justify looking elsewhere. Additionally, while it is standard practice to keep a position posted until it is filled, the listing has already been removed from the city's website. We are aware of, the letter says one, but now there's several other applicants who met all the stated qualifications. 2 were not even given an interview. Another individual who was born and raised in Port Clinton has a business in the city, decades of public safety experience, involvement in local government and nonprofit work, and resides within 2 miles of downtown and City Hall. This candidate was considered qualified enough to be brought in for multiple interviews but was not offered the job. We are not writing to challenge the mayor's authority in selecting a candidate. However, we do question whether the limited public outreach, narrow interview pool, removal of the job posting, and now the urgent push to expand eligibility under emergency status are aligned with the best interests of the community. Or are they driven by a predetermined outcome that favors a specific individual or political interest over the residents of Port Clinton? We will be, questions that we have: what specific efforts were made to promote this position to the public and to attract local applicants? Why is expanding the search area being treated as an emergency when 4 months elapsed before the position was posted? Given that the job description already indicated residency requirements may be waived by the ordinance, why is this action being pursued now under emergency status? And have you already identified a candidate who does not meet the current residency or compensation parameters, prompting this last-minute effort to alter the requirements? And personally, this isn't in the letter. I find it insulting to the Port Clinton residents and the adjacent townships to say that no one here is qualified to do this job. That's all I have to say.
I did receive your letter, and just so you are aware, council does not have to do anything with hiring, firing. That's all done through interviews set up by the administration. So,
No, I understand, but you do get to vote on the ordinance, correct?
well,
Well, can we get the mayor to speak? Can we get the mayor to answer all those questions?
Sure. It was posted on our Facebook. It was posted on the Ohio Municipal League. It was posted on Indeed. I'm going to ask for
On our website as well?
on our website. We hired a HR firm out of Bowling Green to assist us with the search. Those were their recommendations to find the highest and best candidate for this executive level position. There were 12 applicants. There were 5 members of the interview review team. Those 5 members chose to interview 5 based on a variety of reasons. This is the 3rd time that I've had to find a safety service director, an executive level position with the city. I've also been involved in finding executive level positions with agencies and boards throughout Ottawa County that I've served on over the years. You don't just look at what's on paper. You look at other things. Nowadays, social media posts, you contact references, you get feedback from the community and folks that may have had contact with that individual. All of those things are taken into consideration. 5 individuals were called for interviews. Of those 5, they were ranked 1 through 5 based on paper and those other aspects that I talked about. Unfortunately, the 3 of the 5 candidates declined because of the residency requirement. Yes, I grant you, they knew that going into it. The other 2 candidates, it was unanimous opinion in discussions that they just didn't tick sufficient boxes. Yes, both candidates that were interviewed had substantial law enforcement background. However, it's a safety and service director. Neither one of the candidates had the service side. They were both great people. I would not have any inclination in hiring them for other positions. They just didn't have that service side. Neither one of them managed personnel over their career. Neither one of them were involved in budgeting at this level. They just didn't tick the boxes that were needed. I appreciate the interviews. Again, great people. Of those that we interviewed, or those that we called to interview rather, yes, one was from Portage Township, one was from Virginia, one was from South Carolina, Texas, and Michigan. So executive level folks applied, and of those that didn't get interviewed, only one resided in the city of Port Clinton. Prior to that, when we were, to expand on that, when we were looking for, when Tracy passed and we were in a position of trying to find someone urgently, I spoke with 12 different people that all lived in the city of, 10 that lived within the city of Port Clinton, 2 that did not. Obviously, Mr. Sass does not live within the city limits of Port Clinton. Came to council, asked them, told them who I was looking at, asked them to waive that, and they graciously did. It has been recommended by all 5 of the entities in that hiring pool that we come to council to ask them for the changes that we did. We've also consulted with a couple of neighboring communities that have gone through this issue and have taken similar action to make it happen. I'm looking. If I had someone in mind, I would come to council and say, "Hey, look, I'm looking to hire this person." I don't. I'm plumb out of ideas at this time. I anticipate that the residency issue, by removing that, will open up the pool to some other folks.
So,
Was there another question that I didn't answer?
so if they live in Virginia, would they move here then?
That was the hope.
Okay.
We 2 things is that, and this was talked about. We talked to all 5 of the candidates, especially the ones that didn't accept the interview. And relocation expenses. We as a city don't have the ability, like you find in the private sector, to offer relocation expenses. And at least 1, 2 of the folks that withdrew their application said that was the biggest thing. The other, right with that 1 in 1A, is the fact that you work at the discretion of the mayor. Meaning, at some point I'm not going to be here.
The next mayor wouldn't have.
The next mayor doesn't have to. Now, again, traditionally in the city, that has not been the case, but traditions change. So the next mayor could choose to hire someone else. Just looking for the absolute best candidate. We got very, very lucky for the past 20 years with Tracy Colston. We often joke that TC was PC, is PC, because his impact will be around for generations. Tracy wasn't the highest paid city employee. He didn't want to be. When you look back at it and look at what other communities are paying their city manager, safety service director, we got a hell of a deal on Tracy.
And I think that is my main problem is TC was PC. So if we're bringing someone from Virginia or South Carolina or even Sandusky or Swanton or wherever, I just don't see that they're going to ever be in it as invested as Tracy was.
Again, in today's world, folks aren't dedicated to a community. The younger generation
That's not
moves,
true. That is not true.
The younger generation moves all over the place. The statistics back up.
Absolutely not true.
Well, I'm sorry, we disagree, but we will do our
I mean,
best to
so you say young.
Could I ask, do you have any relationship with any one of the candidates?
I know some of them very well. Yes.
Okay.
And I mean, but that's what sparked my interest in the whole thing. But obviously, I'm not trying to get anyone a job at this point. I just want someone from Port Clinton to have the job.
I would ideally like to see that.
I just think, right. And again, I don't know what generation you mean, but my husband was born and raised here, and we're back here, you know? I mean,
I wasn't born and raised here, and I moved here.
So if they're not from Port Clinton, you don't want them to get the job?
No, I want them to, I mean, I'm not from Port Clinton, but I care about everything. That's why I'm here.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I just don't,
you said you wanted someone from Port Clinton. I'm just asking to verify.
I don't mean born and raised here.
Okay.
I'm
But if they're
just
willing to move
responding
into
to him
Port Clinton.
saying, younger generations don't stay here and live here. And I'm not asking for someone who was born here and lived here, but I'm asking for someone who lives here and has a certain amount of respect and care for the city. And again, if you're saying,
Show me
well,
that person, Em, and I'll hire him tomorrow.
And the other stuff will come.
Right.
If they care about Port Clinton, the other stuff will come. What, I mean, these are intelligent people, you know,
right.
I don't know.
But also to your saying, well, you know, if they come here and they move here and they report to you and they're saying, but then you're not the mayor, then they're just going to leave. Well, that already tells me like they're not
No,
in
not that they're
bed.
going to leave. The next mayor has the option to keep that person.
I understand.
That person works at the discretion of the mayor.
Right. But then they wouldn't want to stay here anymore.
I don't know.
Right. Which is why they need the moving expenses and all of that. I'm just
Michelle,
saying.
He didn't answer why they took everything down.
Well,
Positions. Why was everything taken off the, why was the position
I think it
taken
was
off?
taken down
The-
because of the interview
The,
process.
if the application deadline
Deadline.
was over, so that specific application deadline was over, so any of our application deadlines are removed then. That doesn't mean, we go through the interview process in hopes of our hiring somebody. If we don't, then we will repost and restart all over again. And that's what we intend to do. We can't keep it up open and ask for active applications when we're at the point where now we're selecting interviews. That doesn't make sense.
So it's gonna go back up.
Yes, ma'am.
As soon as council
As
takes action.
soon as we get, you know, in the very near future, we will be starting this once again. Every company does the same thing. Once they have the quota they were looking for, or a deadline's been met, that is taken down because that position is no longer being sought or hoping to hire from the pool that was provided. It's no different.
thank you for answering the questions.
Last, Drew Gatliff, 119 Madison Street.
Yep. So, Drew Gatliff, I am here to speak just about the idea of allowing someone to get out or to not have the residency requirement. Not that they don't live there. I know that within the application process and the job posting that they needed to relocate within 6 months. I don't necessarily even have a problem, I would say, within Ottawa County. It's allowing somebody that lives outside of our county. The biggest thing to me is, and again, Tracy Colson was part of Port Clinton. No one's arguing any of that, and that's what made it so great. When he was out for a walk after work with his family, he's in Port Clinton. He's experiencing that. He's driving his kids. He is part of Port Clinton the entire time. If we have somebody who's coming in here 9 to 5 or whatever the hours are, and they leave, right? They have a family. They're going elsewhere. That's where they're experiencing the rest of. They would possibly drive the same route into work and home like I do when I go to my work that is outside of the city. Full disclosure, I did apply. I did get a confirmation. I was not a person who, which that's not my argument. My argument is that it should be somebody who at least lives within, I would say, the Port Clinton zip code, so that we know that they are experiencing the Port Clinton community. They are attending the football games. Their kids are going to school here, or maybe they're not aged for kids. I get that younger kids. I am one of the generation that moved away. So I grew up in a small town. I moved away. We moved to Houston, Texas. Lived there. Also, that had to do with economy back in 2008. We lived there for 4 years. We moved to Columbus, and we ultimately moved back to where my wife is from here, born and raised. We moved here because we love the community. We love small town. And that's what you need someone. I would argue that we're not looking for the same city manager or safety service director that Sandusky is. We're looking for somebody who cares about a small town, because that's what we are. We are a small town. We have a very limited footprint, and we have a very limited amount that we are able to influence because of our limited square acreage or square mileage that makes up Port Clinton. Again, having somebody that's within the Port Clinton community, whether that's Portage Township, whether that is any of the townships or around, and even Ottawa County, I could see the argument being made. I get that you're not going to get somebody that also is competing for a Lakewood or something like that, but that's not who we're looking for. We're looking for somebody who really understands small town and can be the best that we need for our city. That's it.
Can I ask a question? Or am I not allowed, because I didn't say that?
Not really supposed to.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's all right.
Okay. Is that the last one?
Yes.
Okay. Move on to executive officer reports. Council, there's a new resolution and a new ordinance up for first reads, ordinance 17-26 and resolution 26-4. Administration has asked that 1726, if council chooses, be passed on its second reading. After the first reading, that will be set for a special meeting, a date to be determined. And resolution 26-4 will go to the full three reads. And that is all I have. Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. And I just asked Law Director Schenker, one of the questions you asked, and I didn't answer, dealt with the emergency clause, and Dina will explain the legalese behind that. But going to my report here, just a reminder, council and folks here in attendance, if you could share the word. Madison Street, the 100 block of Madison Street will be closed starting May 11th in preparation of the district. The first entertainment is slated for the 21st. A complete list of all the entertainment can be found on the Main Street Port Clinton Facebook page. On the 21st, I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, Crown Battery sponsored the entertainment with the caveat that the stage be named for the apropos Tracy Colston. So at 6:30 p.m. on the 21st, there will be a special ceremony at the stage to dedicate the stage in honor of Tracy Colston. May 2nd, which is this coming Saturday at 3 p.m., I'm participating in a Pinewood or Pintwood Derby competition sponsored by the Scouts here in town out at Twin Oaks. I want to thank Mr. Bobby Good, teacher at the high school, in his STEM, robotics, and engineering class. They are designing, manufacturing, painting, and constructing my Speedster. So look forward to, I haven't seen it yet. I've seen renderings, I've seen pictures. It should be done in the next day or so. They're waiting for some paint to dry. So if you're looking for something to do on Saturday at 3, head out to Twin Oaks. On the 6th of May, which is next week, is the school district's Bike to School Day, so be mindful around the schools that there'll be lots of kids on bicycles. Law enforcement will be out in full force. Normally I participate in that. I'm going to be out of town in Detroit for another daytime related obligation, but again, our law director, Mrs. Schenker, has agreed to escort the kids, and want to thank, we had a meeting with our friends over at Moke, Ohio. They're again going to donate one of their neat electric cars. She's going to love driving that thing. It's a blast. Spring is certainly here. We're starting to see the living room lawns pop up all over the place, the grass holes, the people that blow the grass out onto the streets, and then the weed warriors, the folks that let their grass grow. If you see that, council, general public, please contact the Port Clinton Police Department at 419-734-3121, 734-3121. Do not call 911, please. Or if you want to take a picture, send the email with an address to dispatch@portclintonpd.org, dispatch@portclintonpd.org. With that being said, there is a substantial list, even though growing season seems to have started just a couple weeks ago. There was a growing list of folks that haven't been mowing their lawn. Tomorrow, that list will be verified. A few folks from the city are going to be driving around town to make sure, and then start that process of, issuing the certified letter, giving them 10 days to clarify that. But with that being said, don't expect anything to be done from a city standpoint until after Memorial Day weekend. I guess I should and should not say that. I say that in hopes that reduces the amount of calls. How come you haven't mowed? But again, I don't want people to not mow because it will happen and you will get the bill. Just the guys are too busy doing some other stuff to make that mowing thing happen before the holiday season. The exchange visitors, the foreign kids that come into the area, they're going to start rolling in about May 1st. It's estimated that about 540 of these kids will be in the Port Clinton, Catawba, Marblehead, Lakeside area this summer. We are planning our annual welcome event for these exchange visitors on August 3rd, Monday, August 3rd, from 5 to 9 in the district downtown. We'll be reaching out to the Ministers Association and anyone interested in preparing side dishes, desserts to make that a fun and exciting activity. The goal of this event is to make this community memorable for these kids that come into the area. Just like you've never heard of Chiayi, Taiwan, or Nakhon Ratchasima, Thailand, they've never heard of Port Clinton, Catawba, Marblehead, Quinton Bay, Cedar Point, and sometimes they've never even heard of Cleveland, Ohio. So the goal is to make this a fun and memorable thing so they go back to their home countries, tell their friends sign up for the program, and it makes it easier for those that employ these exchange visitors to find them. Our local economy could not survive without these. There's approximately 100,000 of these kids all throughout the United States. We'll have about 540, as I said, here in the area. In my day job, I will be employing 5 of them this year, the first to arrive on the 6th and 7th of May. Special thanks to ODNR Division of Wildlife for organizing a beach cleanup Saturday. I haven't heard any results of that, but I was tied up in my day job. I heard there were people out there picking things up along the beach. And of course, our tree commission and their Arbor Day ceremony, which took place at the Shelter House Friday night in the middle of a thunderstorm. Thank goodness that was there. Again, the tree commission is Larry Holman, Jerry Tiroli, Lisa Bodai, Ed Urban, and Roger Demakis. And with that, the tree commission has been charged with trying to identify a potential Christmas tree for the intersection of Madison and Perry this summer. I know it seems a little strange in April to be talking about Christmas time, but if you have a tree on your property, and I'm hoping you will call City Hall, 419-734-5522, extension 2. That'll get you to Sandy. Say, hey, I've got a Christmas tree I'm interested in. The guys from the Tree Commission, as well as Service Department Supervisor Lucas Johnson, will come out, take a look, see if it meets the space requirement for the hole that's out there. And I'm going to preface the phone call with, please don't call and say, hey, my neighbor has a tree, or hey, there's a nice tree down the street. Make sure it's on your property so we can make this happen. Quick update on the SID. I know Mr. Trolley's not here, but he's also always asking about the Special Improvement District in our downtown area. The board was created last November. A special committee was created to look at a variety of activities that the funds raised by the SID could address. That committee has met with a couple of different vendors, has made a recommendation in their last committee meeting, and next Tuesday the SID board will meet to potentially accept that bid for snow removal, weed control, and trash pickup in our downtown area. Again, the SID board is Kevin Francis, who is the chairman of that, Alex Morgan Johnson, Lori Kokinda, Richard Morgan here on council, Steve Dirth, Jamie Poulter, and myself. Madam President, unless anyone has any questions, that concludes my report for this evening.
I have a question, Mayor. It might be too soon to ask, but do we know what dates like they're going to start shutting the lights off for Mayflies?
Yes. We sent a notice about a month ago because we need to be, and I will get you that date.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
I
don't
don't
have that.
recall it myself, I apologize.
Okay.
I'll put a note.
But it's coming.
Anyone else on council have any questions for the mayor?
And if the Mayfly show up, it's her fault because she said the
Yeah,
words.
she must have. I did see a baby one a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
See,
Mosquito.
because we usually wait till after the Walleye Fest, right? But that's,
I think it's slightly before.
It's,
Oh,
yeah, it's
yeah.
generally May, and they
Yeah.
come down maybe in June.
12th or 17th rings a bell, but I will confirm that.
okay, thank you.
Treasurer's report, Ms. JPS.
Okay, the numbers are as of this morning on April 28th, 2026. Our short-term rental bed tax is what has been collected as of yesterday's deposit. We've $41,760.16. Our watercraft tax is $2,475. Please note that those invoices are not due till June 1st. And our short-term rental registration fees, which include the renewal fee of $100 for those that are continuously using it year by year, and then the $300 initial registration fee for new ones, we have collected $24,300.
Thank you. Law Director, report, Ms. Shanker.
Thank you, Madam President. Mayor, to answer your question, Cub Scout Troop 361 was at the beach cleanup,
Good.
and the beach looks much better. It wasn't terrible, but the boys had fun picking up trash. So
I understand there's a scout in the other room eating french fries right now.
there is a scout in the other room eating French fries, and he was at the beach cleanup. He did have fun and got all muddy, so that was good. Also, so with regards to the emergency clause, it's not a state of emergency. Basically, it's written in the revised code, and it's also echoed throughout municipalities, counties, villages, townships. It's used quite frequently. What it means is that usually what happens is after an ordinance goes 3 readings, then there's a 30-day wait period before the mayor signs the ordinance. So you're looking potentially at 6 weeks plus the 30 days in order to sign the ordinance. Now, due to time constraints on a lot of things, because usually when you get that phone call, they're usually not telling you to take your time. They're usually telling you to hurry up and get it done. The emergency clause is used. And what that means, the only thing that means is that the mayor can sign it that night that it's passed. So for example, if today we had an ordinance and the emergency clause was enacted, council has a choice whether or not they want to enact the emergency clause. You need 6 members to do that. And so if it's enacted and it's passed under the emergency clause, then the mayor can sign it right away. He does not need to wait the 30 days. The reason for the 30 days is because a referendum can be filed. That is a very challenging process. If somebody, for example, wanted to file a referendum, they'd have to go to the citizens and get a certain amount of signatures and votes, and then it would have to go to the ballot to be heard. A lot of people do not take on that task because it really is a daunting task. So that's what 30 days is for. If council already has decided, when they're passing that ordinance, if they decided that they want to pass the ordinance, sometimes waiting that 30 days does not make sense. Just because the chances of somebody filing a referendum are usually on the slimmer side, and it could potentially delay or have the city miss dates that are pertinent. Like, for example, with the infrastructure project, the federal government has a really good knack of calling at the last minute and saying, by the way, we want to change our mind. And, when's your next council meeting? Because you need to do it like last council meeting. So they don't really give a lot of times. So that's what the emergency clause is used for. It's not used to try to push something through quickly, because usually most of the ordinances have at least 2 reads, if not 3 reads.
So it doesn't change that?
It does not. Well, they could, now council could waive the amount of readings, but that's separate from the emergency clause. And you need 5 to do that. So, like, for example, if
5 voting people.
five council members.
I understand.
Passed by majority.
So, like, for example, if it's truly an emergency, and the date for something to be signed or proposed or is coming up around the corner and you can't have another meeting, that's when it's done. And there's usually a good recitation at council as to why it's done on the first reading. The situation in this case is becoming a bit of a time-sensitive issue, because we have an interim safety service director that has put a end date on how long they'd like to be here, and it's coming up. So if there is no safety service director in place, the mayor has to step into the safety service director's shoes, and now not salary, just shoes, because you can't change the salary of elected officials. So it would just be the shoes of the safety service director and basically run the city in addition to what he does full-time in order to make a living. So it's becoming a bit of a process now to restart the entire process, unfortunately. And unfortunately, you know, when the first ad went out, there were a lot of people that were very, very adamant, and I was one of them, that the safety service director has to live within the city. Because I said the exact same things. You know, he knows the city, he lives here, you know, he doesn't have to drive far, or she actually, I'll leave it, or she. But once you start seeing the process itself, they're just really, we didn't have that person that already lives here, unfortunately, because in order to step into that higher position and manage an entire city, you really need to have years of experience, not only on the safety side, but also on the service side. And the service side covers water department, sewer department, covers the street department, it covers the offices here at City Hall. So it is a big job to step into, and I was not part of the process at all. I just heard what the mayor relayed, but the people who he had on a team were, from what it sounds like to me, pretty qualified in the HR realm. So that in a long sense, hopefully answers that question.
The emergency
about
part.
the emergency
Possible for me to ask a follow-up question, or somebody to yield their time to me for one question on that topic?
One question.
You're not supposed to on here, but. Michelle
My
said she
question
would.
is related to, I mean, you're saying these candidates, and yes, obviously I'm related to one of the candidates you interviewed. And like Michelle also said, I'm not here to try and change your mind. I am also concerned for the same reasons that I think there's a you know, you're sacrificing something by getting someone from the outside, which is what everybody's talking about. We want somebody who's local to get that experience from service. I did see in the times where you've hired other safety service directors in the past that the heads of your departments, your service departments, were part of that process and part of the interview team. So why aren't they part of that this time around, especially if you have candidates who your main concern is they don't have the experience of managing these service departments? Why not allow them to meet those folks who were part of this process in the past, because they're the ones that are going to be working for this person and managed by this person in these service roles?
I asked that exact same question. I was advised by 3 of the 5 people on the committee that was the absolute wrong thing to do, because they're going to be the ones conducting interviews.
But that's your decision, isn't it? Not this committee.
I understand that.
And it worked for you in the past.
They changed my mind on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering my question.
Does anyone on the council have a question for Ms. Schenker? Okay. We'll move on to committee reports. Finance, Ms. Sobis.
Nothing tonight, Madam President.
Let's see. Economic and Community Development, Ms. Goodman.
We are working on getting a meeting set. As soon as I have confirmation from Peter and Richard, I will let you know when that is.
Okay, thank you. No correspondence. Move on to readings of ordinances and resolutions. We have no third reading, we have no second reading. And we'll move on to first readings. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only ordinance 17-26.
Ordinance number 17-26, an ordinance waiving the residency requirement for the Director of Safety and Service by allowing the Director to reside in Ottawa County or adjoining county and revising and fixing the salary range for the employment position not covered by a collective bargaining agreement and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 17-26? Seeing none, ordinance 17-26, we moved to a special meeting, date to be determined, which will be posted to the public once we have confirmation that council's all available. Will the clerk please read by title and summary only resolution 26-4?
Resolution 26-4, and a resolution authorizing and directing the Director of Safety and Service and auditor to resume grant activities under the City of Port Clinton Urban and Community Forestry Inflation Reduction Act Grant Award.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to resolution 26-4? Seeing none, resolution 26-4 will be moved to its second reading at the next regular scheduled council meeting on May 12, 2026. Move on to business from the floor. Ms. Robinson. Thank you, Ms. Sullivan. Staff.
Yeah, I just wanted to address, like, I filed my taxes online with the city this season, and I'm a little concerned about cybersecurity in the city. I know we had that gentleman visit last council meeting who does, some consulting in the matter. So I just wanted to state that I hope that we are looking into measures to protect the city. I know that that is something in the Ohio Revised Code we're going to need to be compliant with soon. So that's all I want to say.
I can tell you, Mr. Sass does have a meeting set up with them.
Oh, okay.
Did
It
it
was a
today?
meeting today.
Oh, awesome.
And the two gentlemen who came, they really presented an excellent presentation and definitely perked up everyone's ears because apparently if you can't find someone like that to help you, you have to do it yourself. And it's just a lot
Right.
with the cybersecurity. So I think that they're probably gonna have a second meeting just to narrow down how much something like this would cost. If it's beneficial, but from what they said, they really have a good handle on it. They were the kind of like the founding fathers of this, and they actually took this to the gentleman who proposed the House Bill 96. So I think everybody is definitely concerned about their security. Just because you don't really have a good handle on it. So they were able to give us a good handle on it to understand what they do. So I think there'll probably be another meeting or so to see if we can move forward with them and what that would look
That's
like.
great. Because, I work in tech,
Mhm.
it's, so.
Mrs.
Thank you,
Gilman.
Madam President. I know the safety service position is an appointment of the mayor, and we have little, if nothing, to say about it. And that's why it doesn't have to be advertised either. I appreciate they're doing the searches that they are. But I'd also like the mayor to consider the perfect candidate may not check all the boxes and have all the experience, but sometimes having those managerial skills, well, not management experience, goes a long way, as long as they're willing and eager to learn and love the community. And I've seen that in some individuals, like Drew looks pretty good sitting right there. And I don't know anything about your background or experience, but I've seen you speak out and give some passion for Port Clinton.
Thank you.
But if somebody is willing to learn, that goes a long way. We stepped into council, all of us, with little or no experience, and the citizens put their trust in us. Sometimes they question it a lot. I see Mr. Kuzma back there. He's my biggest fan, I know. Hi, Sean. But we're willing and open to learn and go through this process together. And at the bottom line, we all care about Port Clinton, how we get to the end and where that ends up. And Mrs. Ward, it may not seem like it, but we do really want this project to happen. But I would just like you to be open to that and maybe consider going forward. Maybe somebody doesn't have 15, 20 years of management, but if they have that skill set to back up the ability to do it, I'd just like you to consider that. Nothing else.
Thank you.
Seeing no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move this August body adjourned.
Is there a second? I have a motion by Mrs. Gilman, seconded by Mrs. King to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
I didn't know if it's the April body, so.
Yeah, I was